So here's something interesting. Right now, you're likely watching this video on your smartphone. Well, do you know what that means? It actually means you're looking at a device that the South African government officially considers to be a luxury item. This classification isn't just for high-end smartphones, mind you. We're talking about basic smartphones that cost as little as 2,500 Rand to 4,500 Rand. They consider this to be luxury. This same classification applies to your gaming consoles, your headphones, your digital camera, and even your air conditioners. All of these everyday electronics are subject to a 9% luxury tax, a tax that was designed almost 3 decades ago, and one that is pretty absurd, and I'm not sure that it still applies. For instance, if you bought a car for 250,000 Rand in 1994, you were genuinely purchasing a luxury item. Maybe a sleek Jaguar XJ-6, a car that cost 369,000 Rand at the time. Or you could comfortably afford a BMW 320i for just 106,000 Rand and you would still have money left over. Fast forward 30 years to today, and that same 250,000 Rand luxury tax threshold now captures a basic Kia Picanto. Yet our government, the South African government, they still treat it like it's a luxury purchase. Honestly, this isn't just about outdated tax brackets. This is about a system that's making technology more expensive for everyone and keeping millions of South Africans disconnected from the digital economy. Today, we're going to dive into this 30-year-old tax law that's affecting everything from the smartphones in your pocket to South Africa's entire economic future. Firstly, what we need to all understand here is how South Africa's ad valorem luxury tax actually works. This tax was introduced nearly 3 decades ago with a simple premise: tax expensive, non-essential items, and that's that. Things like cars, anything over 250,000 Rand, that was considered luxury. For electronics, this includes smartphones. There was a flat rate of 9% tax that was applied to most of these devices. But what's really interesting to note here is that the 250,000 Rand threshold hasn't actually moved in 30 years. Not even once. What's even more striking about this whole luxury tax issue is how the same outdated thinking extends to other things like technology. Technology that's become very essential for everyday modern lives. Things like smartphones. To understand the full impact, you need to see how these taxes actually start to add up. Every smartphone that's imported into South Africa faces a 9% ad valorem tax. Plus, you've got to add VAT. VAT that's calculated on an inflated value. When you combine these taxes, you're looking at an effective tax rate of about 26% on smartphones. For a basic 1,000 Rand smartphone, this means consumers pay an approximate 291 Rand extra just in taxes. Think about that for a second. In a country where the average salary is about 26,700 Rand and 87% of the population has a 4G coverage phone, we're actively making the tools of digital participation more expensive through this type of taxation. SARS, the South African Revenue Services, collected 3.2 billion Rand in ad valorem taxes on cell phones alone in 2023. That's 3.2 billion Rand that's being extracted from consumers who are trying to just access basic digital services. Money that could have stayed in their pockets or been spent on other things and other necessities. What makes this policy particularly frustrating is the inconsistency. Computers and computer components are completely exempt from this luxury tax. Your laptop, no luxury tax. Your graphics cards, tax-free. But the smartphone that's become essential for banking, job searching, education, and staying connected, that's apparently a luxury item that deserves a 9% penalty. But I actually want to know, do you guys think that smartphones should be classified as a luxury item in 2025? Like, it makes no sense to me, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments what you think. There's a digital divide that we need to actually speak about. To appreciate what this means for ordinary South Africans, you need to understand the context. Take for instance Communications Minister Solly Malatsi. He says that he isn't just concerned about the tax policy for academic reasons, he's pretty much worried about the digital inclusion in a country that's preparing to shut down 2G and 3G networks by 2027. But here's another problem. Many South Africans still use older 2G and 3G devices because they can't afford 4G smartphones. When those networks get shut down, these people don't just lose their phones, they lose their connection to the digital economy almost entirely. Add to that, the math is pretty bleak. Nearly 1 in 5 South Africans lacks regular internet access as well as affordability. This is a big barrier for them. When you're adding 26% in taxes to already expensive devices, you're not just inconveniencing people, you're actively excluding them from economic participation and opportunities. There's also a way that these price differences translate to real access. Consider this: a Samsung Galaxy A16, which would normally cost around 4,000 Rand, can drop to 3.499 when manufacturers absorb some of those tax burdens. Samsung predicts that this price reduction alone could increase sales by nearly 200%. I'm not sure about that, but we definitely know that there would be an increase. That's not just a statistical curiosity. That represents thousands of people who would be able to gain access to digital tools that they couldn't afford before. As one industry expert put it, you're getting a great camera, great memory, and processing capability that customers have never experienced before, and it's now or would now be more affordable. The difference between 4,000 Rand and 3,500 Rand might seem small, but it's the difference between qualifying for device financing and paying cash up front. But I want to know, have you or someone that you know been unable to upgrade to a 4G phone because of just costs? Because at this price point, every little rand, every extra rand, it's a major step forward. So I want to know. Let us know below. But in all of this, there are some good news. The government is starting to wake up a little bit. I know we're all surprised. Because in March of 2025, Finance Minister Inokotongwana announced that the luxury excise duty would be removed from smartphones that cost less than 2,500 Rand. This isn't just symbolic. It's a recognition that the basic smartphones are essential tools, not just luxury items. As Minister Malatsi put it, affordability remains one of the biggest barriers to digital access, especially for low-income households. So this is what this policy is trying to target: entry-level smartphones that offer 4G connectivity. This is exactly what is needed in South Africa. This is needed for our transition away from older networks. With 87% 4G coverage already in place, the government has identified affordability, not infrastructure, as one of the primary obstacles to universal connectivity in our country. This is a good step forward. What's interesting to note here is that the response from the industry has been rather mixed. While companies like Samsung, they're pretty excited about the potential sales boost, others question whether this limited approach goes far enough. Some experts are actually arguing for a more comprehensive solution. Take for instance Unomvuyiso Baki from the Association of Communications and Technology. She suggests that if South Africa is serious about the digital economy and there is serious that it wants to transform, the luxury tax can be relaxed for a period of up to 2 years. This would be done on all 4G and 5G components and devices. And this would be just to test what the market reacts to. But I don't know, do you guys, those that are watching this, do you think that removing things like this luxury tax for smartphones under 2,500 Rand is actually going far enough? Or should the government go a little bit further? What's your take? Let us know down below. To fully understand how high the stakes are here, we need to look at the bigger picture. South Africa's digital economy already contributes 10% to 15% of the country's GDP. That's pretty substantial, guys. And it's growing every single day. But what's crucial to understand here is that we're potentially missing out on a whole lot more. Take for instance the Artificial Intelligence for Development program, because they estimate that AI could boost Africa's GDP by up to $2.9 trillion by 2030. The International Finance Corporation predicts 230 million digital jobs in sub-Saharan Africa by the same year. These aren't just statistics. They represent opportunities for young South Africans in a country where unemployment is a crisis. But there's a catch though. You can't actually participate in the digital economy without digital tools. When tax policies make things like getting devices and tools very expensive, you're not just affecting individual customers, you're limiting the entire country's economic potential. You have to think about it this way. Every person who can't afford a smartphone because of luxury taxes is somebody who can't access online education, who can't participate in things like the gig economy, who can't use mobile banking, and can't start an online business. Multiply that by hundreds of thousands of people or even millions of people, and you start to see that the real cost of outdated tax policies like this ad valorem tax on smartphones and other devices, how it actually just cripples the entire growth process. There's also a security angle here. Industry representatives point out that high taxes on legitimate imports encourage grey market imports, phones and devices that are brought in through unofficial channels. This not only hurts legitimate businesses and government revenue, but it can pose a security risk. So where do we go from here? The government's move to remove luxury tax on smartphones under 2,500 Rand is a start. But a lot of people, experts and the likes, they argue that it's not going far enough. A lot of people actually believe that the real sweet spot for meaningful change appears when you get to 3,000 to 4,500 Rand in range, where tax reductions can bring formerly premium features within reach of middle income buyers. What it comes down to is that South Africa has a choice to make. We can keep pretending that smartphones are luxury items like we're already doing, while the rest of the world moves forward into an AI-driven economy. Or we can recognize that digital access is now as essential as electricity and water. The cost of maintaining these outdated policies isn't just about the extra money you pay for your phone, it's about the small business owner who can't afford the smartphone that's needed to accept digital payments. Can you see it? It's about that student who can't access online education. It's about an entire generation of young South Africans who might get left behind because the government decided for us to tax the tools that they need to participate in tomorrow's economy. Every day that we wait is a day of lost opportunities, misconnections, and people pushed further away from the digital economy that's already reshaping the entire world that we live in. This is the reality. Thank you for watching this video up until this point. I hope it was as interesting for you to watch as it was for us to make. Check out one of these other videos and hopefully they'll be just as interesting as this one. Cheers.